Hey there and welcome to Real Investment News. I'm Mike O'Neill. Right now the markets are working to erase the losses from yesterday's big drop. The Dow is up about 131 points. The Nasdaq is up 16. The S&P is up 5. Now you might have heard that President Trump delivered his first State of the Union last night. You did hear about that, right? So we wanted to do a quick fact check on some of the economic claims that he made, like this one.
African American unemployment stands at the lowest rate ever recorded.
Now, you know what? This is true. The unemployment rate for African Americans dropped to 6.8% in December, and that is the lowest since the government started tracking the number back in 1972. But it should be noted that the rate has actually been dropping pretty steadily since 2010.
And Hispanic American unemployment has also reached the lowest levels in history.
Oh, so close. The government has only been tracking this number since 1973, and yeah, it's at 4.9% in December, but the record is actually 4.8% set back in 2006. Now, maybe it's dropped a little more in the past couple of weeks. Now, here's one that the president loves talking about.
We enacted the biggest tax cuts and reforms in American history.
Now, unfortunately, he's wrong on this one. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act bill of 2017 was a cut of $150 billion in taxes. But when you take a look at the past tax cuts, adjusted for inflation, the cuts back in 2012, 2010, 1981, they were actually bigger. So that puts that in this 1, 2, 3, that puts it in fourth place. And when you actually take a look at the cuts as a percentage of GDP, well, it actually comes down to seventh place.
Since we passed tax cuts, roughly 3 million workers have already gotten tax cut bonuses, many of them thousands and thousands of dollars per worker.
Now, that is true, but it should be noted that the 3 million number is just 2% of the working force. Actually, about 38% of all Americans got bonuses last year. And we don't know if those companies would have given bonuses without the tax cut. And, let's not cry too hard for those companies. Walmart, for example, they said it was raising its minimum wage to $11 an hour in addition to giving the bonuses of up to $1,000 per employee, and that cost the company $700 million. But a short time later, they also announced that they were buying back $4 billion in debt. And speaking of debt, what did the president have to say about cutting spending to deal with that growing debt and deficit? Nothing, which is a real shame because right now our deficit, the difference between how much the government spends and how much it takes in through taxes, well, that's set at about $1.1 trillion. That's it for now. Thank you so very much for joining us. Please remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, look at our past reports on realinvestmentnews.com. I'm Mike O'Neill, and we will see you again in a couple of hours.